the unexplainable revelation message in the world. How are burdens made light? Acts chapter 15 verse 16. After this I will return and rebuild David's fallen tent. Its ruins I will rebuild, and I will restore it. The reason for rebuild David's fallen tent. Because of the broken walls, because the way, the truth, the life of the members have not been rebuilt. So that God's promise of the New Jerusalem, the holy city, has not come. Let's take a look at the broken walls. See Isaiah chapter 58 verse 6-12. Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter when you see the naked, to clothe him, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, Here am I. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. The kind of fasting I have chosen, the so-called fast of his choice, this fasting is taken by the believers to mean not eating. The actual meaning is to receive the spiritual bread of God's will, to do God's work, and to be filled. See John chapter 4 verse 31-34. Meanwhile his disciples urged him, Rabbi, eat something. But he said to them, I have food to eat that you know nothing about. Then his disciples said to each other, Could someone have brought him food? My food, said Jesus, is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. I have chosen, has he not received my will, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free. The point is that the law taught by the Levites was a law of condemnation, stating that all men were in sin, so he had to loose and untie it from the evil. That is the burden of the called out ones, to set them free. See Jesus' teaching. See Matthew chapter 11 verse 28-30. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. How Jesus' burden was light is related to the fact that Jesus went from the first seal to the seventh seal. Now the 7 stars have been transferred from the 6th seal back to the 5th seal to lead the 7 messengers of the 7 lanterns. See the details of the deeper learning program. Do you not give your bread to the hungry, and bring the poor wanderer into your house, and clothe the naked, and do not hide your own flesh and blood? See Jesus' teaching in parables. Matthew chapter 25 verse 31-36. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his throne in heavenly glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. Verse 40, the king will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. How do you explain this? Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. For every member is a part of the body. Some are hands, some are feet. When one member suffers, all the members suffer. When one member is honored, all the members are happy. If one of the members is still suffering, it means that the body is not yet established. If one man is honored, he says something, and it comes to pass, every part rejoices with it. The light of revelation shines to the ends of the earth.